So, it has a lot of negative outcomes for labor absorption, which is generating employment, levels of wages, working conditions, etc. Now, if we take, let us say, just one example, if we look at what has happened in India during the last 25 years, the most sought after segment amongst workers is those who are employed in the organized sector. That is the most sought after kind of job for workers, right. You have a very, very small percentage of people in the organized sector. It is in single digit in case of India. A couple of developing countries are exceptions, including South Africa or Brazil, right. These are countries where the share of organized labor is somewhat higher. But let me come back to the figure that I wanted to share with you, namely what is happening to the wages of organized sector workers in India. It is amazing to note that this country, which has been the second fastest growing economy in the last 35 plus years, real wages of organized sector workers, as per the data source that we have, which is known as Annual Survey of Industries, has been stagnant. In fact, there is a small dip in the level of real wages for the organized sector workers. Now, clearly, it has a lot to do with the fact that there is this massive build-up, there is this massive persistence of surplus labor in the rest of the economy. There are several segments where you will notice that precisely because of this massive persistence of surplus labor, they do not even get what I would consider subsistence wages. You find that even when there are laws relating to minimum wages, compliance is extremely unsatisfactory. Now, in such a situation, what happens then? You have large segments of workers who possibly get what you would consider starvation wage, malnutrition wage, etc. So, on the whole, the situation that you find on the ground is that wages come under massive pressure if you have huge levels of surplus labor. Even when you see significant increases in productivity, productivity gains are not translated into wage gains. So, in case of India, for instance, we find that wage share as a share of national income has been halved during the last 25 odd years, right, whereas the profit share has zoomed. So, whatever has been taken away from wages has become part of the surplus. So, in terms of levels of wages, in terms of wage share, in terms of working conditions, in terms of labor absorption, in terms of whatever you would consider significant indicators of the labor market, surplus labor becomes a massive constraint in addressing any of these issues with any degree of satisfaction. Especially so if we are talking of the neoliberal era, where it is fundamentally the market mechanism which is ruling the destinies of the labor markets, the destinies of these countries, etc. So, only hope that we can have in addressing some of these issues is by bringing in significant levels of regulation. Now, that would mean rolling back the neoliberal globalization. It would mean trying to stop in track at least some of the worst excesses imposed by globalization in the functioning of these economic systems, and of course, in the functioning vis-a-vis the labor market.